Hi, I'm Sim from Heirloom Naturally. We grow old-fashioned vegetables and seed in the field without chemicals in the wonderful high country town of Mansfield, Victoria. Today's video is going to be showing you how we go about sowing our heirloom seeds for the coming season. The sun is shining, it's blue sky, and it's time for us to get our summer season crops germinating and ready to go in the ground. For us, most of our tomato seeds, our pumpkin seeds, zucchinis, cucumbers, all of those glorious summer veggies really can't go into the ground until late October, early November. And I know that that's really late, so you can tell that we have a very short growing season here in Mansfield, primarily because we do still get late frosts and then we get early frosts as well. So we really do have a short growing season, which is why I try to raise seedlings prior to getting them out in the field. And I thought, well, why not show you how we actually do that today? So that's what I'll be doing. The seed that I'm going to be sowing is a wonderful rare Australian heirloom pumpkin. I bet you couldn't have guessed I was going to be showing you pumpkins today again. But it is a rare Australian heirloom pumpkin that is called the Australian butter. Not the butternut, not the buttercup, the Australian butter. And I'm really, really excited about this particular variety because it was very, very difficult for me to track down seeds of this variety, which does add to its rarity. But I'm told that the way that it stores, the way that it looks, and the way that it tastes is absolutely divine. And so I'm very, very excited to see how this grows in our climate and to hopefully in about March next year, when they get to the point where I can harvest them, I'll be able to record a video for you about just how magnificent they really are, everything crossed. So very, very briefly, if you go onto the internet and have a look for how do I germinate seeds, there is a myriad of advice and suggestion about what things you need to take into account. Your soil mix, the temperature, the light, how deep it's going to be, the spacing of it, that you need to thin them, etc., etc. And I know that it can feel really overwhelming when you get all of that expert advice and opinion and you just think, oh my gosh, so much to be thinking about. It's too hard. I'm just going to go and buy some seedlings. And whilst I absolutely understand that that might be the case, really what I would say is my old mantra is that seeds just want to grow. It is what they're designed to do. So they will do everything in their power to overcome and to germinate and grow for you, providing you give them just a little bit of care. So really, I guess the starting point that I would say is watch my previous video about seed raising mix. That's step number one. The second point that I would make is that in terms of depth of sowing your seed, the general rule of thumb is about 2 to 2.5 times its width is the depth that you should sow that at. So if you think about a carrot seed, it is, almost the width of a pinhead, really, a carrot seed. So that needs to be planted very, very shallowly. And some seeds actually need light to germinate, such as lettuce, so incredibly shallowly with a lettuce seed. But a pumpkin seed, for example, and I'll show you the pumpkin seeds that I'm about to put into the pot. These need to go a little bit deeper. So, maybe that's about 1 centimetre wide. So you're probably looking at putting that in the ground or in the pot, 2 to 2.5 centimetres. That gives us enough soil covering to keep it moist while it germinates. And it's not too deep that it can't use all of its energy to push that new shoot out of the ground and then go, oh, I'm just too deep. I can't possibly make this, and therefore die and not germinate. It's one of the common causes of seeds not germinating is that they're in too deep or they're in too shallow, in which case if they're too shallow, they don't hold the moisture and so therefore they dry out before they've had a chance to germinate. Now, I'm not going to get much more technical than that. So really just look at, okay, that's quite a big seed. I probably need to put that in the ground a little bit deeper, 2 to 2.5 centimetres. Okay, that's enough technical stuff from me. Let's actually get into showing you how we're going to sow these seeds. Okay, So what we have here is a pot, and I'm just going to grab an empty one so that I can show you. What we do here is that we write on the side of the pot the variety that we are seeding into it. This is just a white permanent marker. So it means that as we water it throughout the season, we might bump it around a little bit. It's not going to be removed if it's a non-permanent marker. And even sometimes pencil can also be removed off some of those labels that you can get. So we use a permanent white marker to write on them. It is fairly easy to remove just with a good vigorous rub at the end of the season. Or in our case, what we tend to do is that if we love this Aussie butter pumpkin, which I'm hoping that we will simply reseed into this same pot for next season's crop. Okay, so make sure that you label your pots. You might think now, oh, I'll remember what that was. Let me tell you, you won't, but when it comes to planting. So make sure that you label your pots. Okay, so we have a labeled pot here. There you go. And it is about half filled with good quality organic potting mix. Again, if you're wondering what I'm talking about at this point in time, have a look at my previous video about potting mix versus seed raising mix and you'll understand what I'm talking about. So about half full of a good quality potting mix. And then, here's one I prepared earlier. This one is now filled with good quality seed raising mix on top of that potting mix. Now at this point what we do is we give it, and I'll zoom out a little bit here, just a good tap. What that does is it removes any of the air bubbles that might be in that potting mix and seed raising mix. It helps to settle it, which is really what you want. You want your seeds to be lovely and warm and snugly in a bed that fits it well. Okay, so once we've done that, then we simply with our finger just dab the top so that it's a little bit more firm and then make a little bit of an indentation for the seeds to go into. Now, if I was planting my own seeds, I would normally only put one seed into the pot because I am fairly confident of their germination rate. However, these are not my seeds. Not suggesting that they're not good seeds, I'm sure that they absolutely are, but just to be doubly sure that I'm not wasting my time and resources, I'm going to pop 2 seeds into that little divot. And if 2 of them germinate, that's fine. I'll simply remove one of the seedlings, the weaker one, at their first leaf stage, so the cotyledon stage. Okay, so 1 seed, 2 seeds. I just need a bigger divot there. Okay, and they've gone in. Then what I will do is get a little bit more seed raising mix. You can cover this with worm castings if you would like to. We just simply put in a little bit more seed raising mix. Cover that again. Firm it down with your finger. And then all we do is just water it. You really just need to use a fine mist or a watering can. Certainly don't go in there with a jet of water and dislodge everything. Just a fine, water it in, and then just make sure that it is kept moist. You don't want it wet. If it's too wet, the seed will rot. You don't want it dry, because if it's too dry, there's not enough moisture for it to germinate. Again, that's one more technicality for you. I promise you that's the last one. So there you go. Quite simple, really. So follow those simple steps if you are in the process of germinating some seed for summer or for spring, and get out there, have a go. Seeds just want to grow for you. So don't be scared of them. Eat well, stay well.